Hey folks, welcome to another edition of the Housecoat Chat. The dude in the housecoat. Check out the nice new kitty cat shirt. Yes, it is nice. It's full of cats. I love it. It is a later show than normal because, well, I was being a decent fellow and helping an old lady out who needed some things because her car broke down and she's got up out of here. Anyways, be decent, folks. That's all it takes. You should have a little bit of time, and you can help somebody out if you find out you can. Yes, I know. Well, folks, the scone is lit. Today is going to be I guess, an exclusive David Eby special because he came out with a proposal for a law today. Bill 7, it's called. It isn't to counteract anything Trump might do with the tariff war. Oh my goodness. No, I kind of took a little bit of a dive down there, checked out the website for it and all. And yeah, so he's going to try and what, propose tolls for vehicles that are traveling through from the States all the way up to Alaska, a toll or on the ferry, and a few other things, emergency power, so he doesn't have to go to legislation and, ask the legislation to make anything. He will be given dictatorial powers to do things as he sees fit. Now, I do see a couple of caveats that the First Nations will be, I guess, consulted and that the no environmental review will be impacted. Those will still need to be done or whatever. But the fear mongering and the lack of, oh, I don't know what to call it for Mr. Eby other than a distraction from his ongoing failures as a premier. It's just amazing. He's attacking a YouTuber who is what? A very, I would call him a world famous person, but a person who I enjoyed listening to at the start of the convoy in 2022, Mr. Sunshine Baby. He had a few other names, I believe. He is an excellent, excellent podcaster. I like him because he is polite, he's kind. He is almost your typical Canadian male. Almost, he just has that persona about him. A nice man, willing to help you out when you need a hand, right? And such. That's what kind of being Canadian is. Basically, it's being helpful because we live in a tough country where the weather and nature doesn't always cooperate with us. So, as a species, as human beings, we work together a little harder to achieve the goals of making this nation work, right? I mean, it is just the way it is. I just finished watching an episode of Clyde Do Something. A shout out to Clyde. He has a great show. We're speaking up on Sunshine Baby, and I like Sunshine Baby. And I have a couple of words for David Eby, just like Clyde said in his video is, why not contact Sunshine Baby yourself? He is not far away, just like these guys up here with the Diagaloon flag. They are not your right wing idiots that you guys think they are. My goodness. Yes, the guy that speaks in his raging dissident show, whatever. It's a show, it's free speech. Yes, he borders the line. He cross it and stuff? Well, you know what? He's won every challenge against him that the government has thrown at him, including putting him in solitary confinement. And that's why I like Diagaloon, and that's why I like Jeremy McKenzie. He has principles and morals that most politicians, 99.99%, do not have. Whereas Jeremy has that 0.1% of morality, where the others don't. It kind of sounds bad how I say it, but my point is he's a decent fellow and he's more moral than our politicians. All 338 in the federal government need to go, and I'm damn near almost about to say that with the BC legislation. I do like Dallas Brody and stuff, and I agree with her. Show us where the bodies are. Apologize to saying that the bodies weren't there. Don't keep trying to keep the charade going. It's bad enough that it hurt us internationally. It has made me feel bad. I know I'm going off on a side bit here, but anyways, it needs to be fixed. Stuff happened at the residential schools. That is correct. I have heard this. I have witnessed this in my own eyes, listening to people in a way. And my wife has heard plenty because she does spiritual healing. She's a card reader and a couple other things in that category. and people like telling her things because she does listen and has a kind heart. So there are bad actors within the residential schools, and they should be punished. If you're a survivor of abuse, if your abuser is still alive and you have not charged them or gone after them, and you are still struggling with it, take that step and have it ended, folks. Have your day in justice so that you can feel better and move on, and the perpetrator gets to be put behind bars. Simple as that. Right? It is that simple. Now back to David Eby and everything else. I know I kind of talked about Sunshine Baby, but when I listened to Mr. Eby speak, and I listened to Sunshine Baby, and I probably got about, oh, I'm gonna guess 8 hours of listening of him since the beginning of 2022, since the convoy days, and there's nothing really, anything awfully bad or negative or put downs on anything really. My goodness. And David Eby's attacking a decent person, but hey, you had these guys you could have used, the Diagolone, Philip the Goat. Yes, you could have went after them, and you could have, oh, yes, and then the media would have probably helped you out a lot more and everything else. I digress that, and I have a hunch the only reason they won't do it is because the people that are fans of these guys, the trib and trade crowd, the trib and train crowd, so to speak, they will go hard on David Eby. Yes, folks, they will. And I hopefully hope that there are a lot of Sunshine Baby people out there going, enough, Eby, and that is correct. These emergency powers you are asking for, everything else, just the tone. Didn't you just see Doug Ford saying, I'm going to shut off electricity? Hmm? What happened there, David? Mr. Eby, what happened there? Let me tell you what happened there, Mr. Eby. Within about an hour, there's a man sitting in the Oval Office of the White House. And I'm bringing the story from Mr. Lutnick, the trade representative of the United States to Canada, speaking on national television. I think you people should look up his name. I think you should go find the videos where he's speaking and unedited, folks. Unedited is the most important thing. I'm not going to show you things, folks. I'm here to say I'm a dude in the housecoat wanting to talk and share stuff. And if you hear my names or names I mean that I'm bringing out like Sunshine Baby, David Eby, or Mr. Lutnick, the trade advisor, go Google those terms and names and such and go look. It, it's just reading, folks, and you know how to use your machines, do you not? Right. So Mr. Lutnick is explaining to the reporter that it is not chaotic that what's going on. There is honest debate on the tariff and the border security. If you go back to the National Post article in November of 20, or sorry, not November, January of 29 this year, states that it is about the fentanyl, drugs, and crime that's going across the border. Read the article from the National Post, folks. Just go back date to November 29th on and look up what the front page apparently. So go look that up. That's right. I am the dude in the house coat. I am sharing information, asking you to look. Don't take my word for it. Remember, I'm just a dude. I'm just giving out information. I am not the, the arbiter of, the final word. I'm just a dude having a chat with you, my hopeful listeners on my show, right? Anyways, Lutnick has stated it's not crazy or chaotic. What is crazy and chaotic is having a little man, basically Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who is a premier, speaking about taking no and cutting the electricity off to Americans. That is an act of war. There is no way you could put it because you want to know why I say it's an act of war? Because our new sitting, anointed, selected, handpicked, cherry picked Prime Minister Mark Carney has stated that he feels that Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel is doing war crimes against Gaza by announcing he will do it in 4 days, whereas Doug Ford has threatened to cut it off, right, with his rhetoric. And lo and behold, Mr. Lucknow goes, and you often wonder how these things get negotiated or dealt with in the traditional sense. He says usually it goes to legislation thing, but no, it ended within an hour by a tweet and a phone call. Mr. Doug Ford backtracked with his tail between his legs and even admitted in a press conference afterwards that I will leave the tariff and trade talks to the federal level. He got his ass spanked, folks, and rightfully so. I mean, you could say what you want about everything that's going on the tariff front, like David Eby's about to get his ass slapped. Seriously, if he keeps this up, there is going to be repercussions for the BC side of things that are going to probably be worse than if Doug Ford would have went ahead with what he's doing because Mr. Eby is still yakking away and trying to make everything about the guy in the South, our $1,000 bonus that Canadian BCers were supposed to get, that David Eby promised that we would get if we elect him. And then what happens when we elect him? He gave himself and everybody a cabinet position, a pay raise, appointed a bunch of more people, right? And no mention of $1,000 to us right away, right, folks? What happened? He shut down the legislation. Like, boom! What's going on here, folks? And then he comes back and now he wants emergency powers. Well, I say, nay, nay, hey, hey, get the heck out, David Eby. You are a disgrace to this province. I want to tell you why I know you're a disgrace to this province, and I will simply put it this, and I have to go back and find it again. But anyways, I will. You know what it is? It is all this is from 2023, folks. And I just want to share this with you because I thought it was important stuff. And because I was yakking a lot, I lost the page on my iPad and it died down. Anyways, I found it. And this is the thing. This is from 2023. The things that they want to cover up. And now some of these things I want to give a shout out to Bruce McGonigal. Thank you, Bruce. You're an awesome dude. Love your stuff. 22 million opioid pills have somehow ended up into the hands of the wrong people, and the government covered it up. And he wants to help and say, hey, they did criminality. And if they did criminality, then there should be some investigation. And I think the RCMP, and I even think, and I'll shout it out now, hello, United States government and your fentanyl thing that you want to deal with. I highly suggest you check out David Eby and Bonnie Henry. So from 2023, folks, this is from 2023. There were 2,571 overdose deaths in the province of BC. In the province of BC, we had 2,759 made medical assistance and dying stats. That's a lot. 4,500 people waiting for healthcare that have died. So 4,500, 2,700, 2,500, let's just call it 10,000 people that we know of, okay, that have died in this province because of poor decisions of giving out free drugs. Yes, they've made some minor changes, folks, but if they could adopt the Alberta model for helping people, lives will be saved. The chief of staff, Danielle Smith, is a former addict. I don't want to say his name. I kind of know it, but I'm at the tip of my tongue right now. But the person that's working in her office as the chief of staff is a former addict himself. He is the one that spearheaded the program to help people get off with these fentanyls and other hard drugs, and it's become a success. In BC, we have children who don't have to notify the parents that they just got some morphine like pills from their doctor, and the doctor can prescribe it to them without the parents' knowledge so the kids can experiment with them. Yes, just experiment with them legally through the doctor's office. Think of that one. Or the fact that the people that are getting the safe supply are going out and selling it to these young kids so they can get the stuff that killed their best friend yesterday. Because that's what they want. They want that high. Because it's just what it is. It's a shame and it's sad. And David Eby, oh my goodness, I just can't not understand how he operates other than to hide his own ass from any accountability. It goes back with Bill 7. It's giving him emergency powers. And since I do not actually have the actual legislative word by word legal document that they want to use, because I want to read those words, because if they have vague words like as soon as possible or other things that aren't concrete and solidified, it's open for interpretation to be abused. And the fact that it has the sunset clause is nice, but it also has a clause in it that it can extend. I am sorry, but my province of British Columbia, with this person in charge, I wish John Rustad would have won the election. If the election people can figure out what the frick they did wrong and get it right so that we can have accountability and actual trust in our system again, because it's becoming to the point, and I'll tell you right now, I'm more inclined to go with the 51st state than trying to keep this country as it is. Because as it states, there is really no country, folks. If you really look into our history of the Confederacy, Quebec never officially signed to be a part of Canada yet. Our Confederacy, all of our provinces can leave at any chosen time. All they have to do is do the legislation and bingo, they're gone. It is a shame that our country, as beautiful and great as it was when I was growing up in the 80s, late 70s, 90s, 2000, and ever since roughly 2014 to 15, the transition years, it's gotten worse, folks. It's horrible. We are totally corrupt as a nation when they say as low as 12% of our GDP is in criminal hands making money. TD Bank is a one bank in Canada, Toronto Dominion. There's the CIBC, there's the Royal Bank. So, my God, there's a few other Canadian banks, and this one bank got fined $3 billion for money laundering of narcotics and other things. Just one bank. You don't think other banks are involved? And guess what? The head of that bank is tied in with Mark Carney with his BMM thing. Yes, Brookfield Asset Management. There's a whole world of things you people need to look at, and you have Google, you got Grok, you have a host of things. The only thing I really use, folks, is Google and Grok. The only social media I use is really just X. I do watch the CBC. I have the app. I do have other news agencies that I can check out. But I will tell you right now, X is the place for me. It is boom fast. It is out there before the actual news story gets out there, which blows my brain. And I'll give you an example of that. That was October 7th. And I went to bed one night going, holy shit, honey, I think Israel's getting attacked by paragliders. Never thought much of it, right? I went to bed. Next morning, I wake up and I'm like, holy smokes. But I saw the images just before bed that weren't even televised from anybody. CNN, CBC, it don't matter. The big boys that are supposed to give us the honest truth didn't do anything until they got their story that they wanted to present. And folks, it is mind numbing to see when you can have the information plastered on your screen that there's a fire somewhere, and you go look and say, holy smokes, it is a fire. But then you go watch the mainstream news and it says, no, there was no fire, but you just saw it, right? It's just like watching the Black Lives Matter riot. Oh, it's mostly peaceful here. Remember that reporter from CNN? And buildings are burning down in the background? Oh, come on. Our news is lying to us. And Barack Obama made a law and reappealed us the decision that the government of the United States made in the late 40s to stop propaganda within the United States. They reversed it, and now look at the world we have in the United States for the media. In Canada, Trudeau did something similar, folks. And you look at mainstream media, how much have they got wrong and how much of the indoctrination and narrative that they pumped out. But meanwhile, just like the gentleman that I was talking about earlier, who's a YouTuber, Sunshine Baby, he's awesome. He is so good at what he does because he's easy to listen to. He doesn't really give you, like an Alex Jones scream or rant or whatever. He just does his job good. He's a nice fellow. I really wish I could be Sunshine Baby one day. And hopefully I will. And look at the minutes on my clock. It's almost 20 minutes. But the fact of the matter is, I'm hoping most of BC will listen to this. BCers, you need to wake up. David Eby is not a good person. Bonnie Henry is a disgusting person in our government to allow the continuation of safe supply and all that. But anyways, folks, the candle is lit, the scone. Today is going to be a special honor for everybody in this province and across this country and North America that have lost somebody to a drug overdose. That scone is lit for you. I really don't know anybody that has died from a drug overdose like that. I've had friends that I've known that apparently have lived. They're gone separate ways, whatever. It is sad. But folks, you have to be diligent. Please read, please research, and please look into Bill C or 7. Bill 7 in the BC legislature. More will be coming out about it later, and we need to be up in arms about it. I know the tariff talks are bad, but David Eby is a premier. The trade tariff stuff is federal, and he should be listening to the words of Doug Ford, and he should be backing off instead of squawking to distract us from his failings as a premier. We are billions in debt. He's enriched his friends, he's enriched his coworkers, and he's making us BCers suffer by pretending he cares for us. And also, folks, positive vibes. Get out there, get the energy. Let's not get too down, but let's make it good, folks. Get out there and do something. And please, if you have a moment, go visit the SPCA. You don't have to adopt a pet, but go have a look. Thank you all. Have a good day.